Okay, I'm going to just briefly, I think, try to clarify. First of all, that research paper was by I think it's Richard Rosen from the Chicago Fed. Okay, that Chicago Fed research paper on the basically the cause of the financial crisis. Now, it's important that we take a look at the real causes of the financial crisis. And again, to me, this is on this iteration, which is the build up, from 2001, with starting with Greenspan, when Bernanke was just the board of governors of the Fed, on the board, but promoting all of Greenspan's ideas, and then right on through Bernanke's appointment and his finishing up his first term next month. But if we don't take a look at the cause, then it's impossible for us to be talking about what kind of solutions are going to work. Of course, Nick, you have to congratulate me. During the first video, I did not say it's the money system in that way. Okay, I talked about it within the context of the way that you're talking about it, and a lot of the commenters are talking about it, which is to deal with the crisis that we have. Now, I had mentioned earlier about the fact that what we're really running on, believe it or not, everything that Bernanke did, okay, everything that Bernanke did, and he did a lot of stuff. He created out of nothing. He created money out of nothing. He provided it to the corporations and the banks to keep them afloat, okay? But what he did, quite frankly, was nothing compared to what the bankers got the accountants to do, which was to change the rules on mark-to-market accounting. Because if they had not changed those rules by the time the last, couple of quarterly reporting periods, data and financial information came in, they would be done. They would be done. There would be no other method for them. They would have to once when you mark your assets down and you have to take that loss, that hits your operating statement. That creates the real loss. Okay, that's a combination of balance sheet and operating statement loss recognition, and those losses, and they're on the scale that I had mentioned earlier. The system could not stand those losses. Okay, and because of the flaws, because of the problems that were created within the industry in the run-up, the cowboy mentality. And by the way, Nick, they used the combination of that cowboy mentality coupled with the global myth of the ratings agencies rating all the stuff, and they talk about in that research paper how we escalated through taking mortgages and packaging them and asset-backed mortgage-backed securities and securitizations of ending up with the derivatives and collateralized debt obligations and credit default swaps. Okay, well, the fact of the matter is that we've created all those trillions of dollars, and we did it by using the leverage from the money creation part. Okay, we did it using that leverage. So what we've done is we've created a huge amount of debt service obligations, okay, that cannot be paid. I mean, that was Volcker's thing, Volcker with his group of 30 when it said we need reforms. He said we cannot afford the debt service payments that we have. We cannot afford. We cannot create money fast enough. And in the debt money system, Nick, okay, because the debt money system is what's broken. In the debt money system, we need to create more debt in order to create more money. So actually, I have to say this in response to what you said about the size of the stimulus. The only way to get out of the hyperinflationary, deflationary, boom-bust, stagflationary cycle that is in front of us is to do away with the debt money system. So that's, I'm sorry, there it is. It's the money system. Okay, the design of the money system. I think I sent you, Nick, the thing from the Council of Full Employment and Equity. Okay, full employment and equity, equity, like equity, as in equity money. Okay, as opposed to debt money. You've heard of debt and equity. Well, those are two parts of a system. Okay, we're going to create equity money, not debt money. Okay, but that's what we need to do. They use that leverage with mark-to-market accounting. Okay, so that by blowing it up, by taking those assets and now marking them to market at the end of this year, all of a sudden we're worth this much. Now that because we're worth this much, because we've marked them to market, now we can do more. How much more can we do? Quite frankly, there was no end to it. There was no limit to it. And there is no limit to it. And that's why most of the money over the last 15 years, I think when you take the whole 15-year period, most of the money has been created in the shadow banking system, on the shadow banking side. So all the talk about the Fed and the Federal Reserve, the biggest failure of the Federal Reserve is not that they kept interest rates at 0%. It's that they didn't advise the Congress that there's a shadow banking system that's growing out over there. And while I have to come in here and report to you twice a year, I can just say whatever I want. You guys really don't know what I'm talking about. But really, you should be paying attention to those guys over there because they don't report to anybody. They're the guys that have run away with the money system in this country. And until we recognize that, Nick, okay, until we recognize that, that's how they did it. They used mark-to-market accounting. That's how they blew up the leveraging, okay? And with mark-to-market accounting and the whole debt money system in general, but the highly leveraged investment banking side is exactly the same. Okay, you create debt service obligations. That's all you do. Streams of payments do. Streams of payments do. That's how those guys get those billion-dollar compounds and estates and airplanes and yachts and all that crap that Gary ranks on. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. And they create debt service obligations. Obligations payable by whom? Obligations payable by the United States of America. United States of American dollar-denominated debts. Nick. Okay? Now, I recognize that you're not a United States American citizen, but you take a nice approach to the fact that since Bretton Woods, when we set up the United States dollar as basically and through the iterations of first the gold and dollar, and then the dollar, taken over as the world's base currency, that we have a central obligation here to take care of fixing it. And this whole bubble is riding not on Bernanke's trillions that he's created. This whole bubble, this whole, cross-counterpartied system of systemic risk is riding on non-mark-to-market accounting. That is to say, they let them have it on the way up, and on the way down they're holding it. And while they're holding it, Nick, this is what's happening. That great resettling is what's happening while they're holding it. Okay? That great resettling is a transfer of the financial responsibility from the guys who created the mess to the taxpayers of the United States of America. And, you want to find out how long the lost decade's going to last? It's going to last until that shift goes from those guys to we the people, if we accept it. Who's going to do it, Nick? Who's going to do it? Who's going to follow Dennis Kucinich's lead? Will it be Marcy Kaptur? Will it be Bernie Sanders? It ain't going to be any of these millionaires, that are sitting up there in Congress, wasting our time in both parties. In both parties. I'm not a Democrat. That's what it's going to take to change it, Nick. But thanks.